Hi and welcome to this week's video. So this week I've picked myself up another cheap Nintendo Switch off eBay. So overall condition, it's not too bad. I have had a lot worse. This one I managed to pick up for £30. So first off, we'll plug it into the charger and see if we get anything. So straight off we get no charge on that side, we get no charge on that side. So they were nice enough not to attach any screws on the back, so straight away the back cover and heat cover come off. And also the battery's nice and loose. So this is a known working battery, so I'll just plug this in, see if it makes any difference, which it doesn't. So first thing first, we will get the multimeter out. We'll set it to the nice beeping to see if we have any shorts around the M92 chip. So we put one prong on ground and the other prong on one side of these little caps. It should beep on one side. If it beeps on both sides, then this normally means that this big chip, the M92 T36 chip, is more likely to be faulty. So we just have a quick check on the fuse. So this should beep, which means it's got continuity. So we're getting beeps along the top three chips. So that normally means that this chip is going to be the faulty culprit. So quick look under the microscope at the USB-C connector and it all seems to be okay, so we don't really need to change that at the moment. And then I'll have a little quick look over the BQ chip. This is what controls the charge. It does look like there's been a little bit of work around the area. So first off, we need to get the board out, so remove all the screws, remove all the connections, and then we'll get it out and then we'll get it under the microscope and give it a closer look. So once under the microscope I realise that it's missing a lot of chips. So this is the donor board. So these are all the chips that it should have, and as you can see most of the chips around are missing. So someone's been on here, they've made a right botch job and lost a lot of the parts. So we're going to apply a little bit of flux. And then we'll add some heat from underneath. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the BQ chip because it wasn't centered anyway. So I apply the heat and straight away I get some awful brown solution coming out, so I haven't got a clue what flux has been previously used, but as you can see it's not the greatest and it's obviously not been cleaned since then either. And then I'll just remove some of these caps as well just to try and straighten them up. So we've got a couple of caps which have been stuck to other ones and we've got a couple of caps missing. So as best I can, as steady as I can, I try and remove the ones that are already stuck and shouldn't be where they currently are. Then I can put that big cap back and nudge it into place. You just need to be patient because sometimes when caps are being moved they're not properly lined up and you are more likely to be nudging into other ones. So just take your time, start again if you need to until you can get them in their precise positions. Then I just need to apply a little bit more flux. And then I'm going to get some solder and then we're going to rub the solder across all the missing pads. So this one in the corner, it's sort of missing a little bit of solder on one side, so we just double over that. And we put some solder on the BQ chip for when we replace it in a little bit. and then spread it out nice and evenly so we can get solder to all the legs for when we apply the chip. Then we give it a nice good clean of isopropyl before we start onto the next stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the donor board next to us, and then I'm going to apply heat underneath both of them, and I'm going to take a chip from the donor board and then pop it onto the repairing board. As you can see, there's a lot of chips, so this is going to take a little bit of time. Sit back and enjoy the music. Once they're all back on, we can reapply the BQ chip as well. Just need to get it into position. And then once in position, we can hold it down. And then any excess solder that we've applied should squeeze out one of the sides, which we'll remove in a minute. I'll apply a little bit more flux and then just make a little adjustment to ensure it's squared. And then one of the chips on the side has slightly gone out of position, so we just need to pop that back down again. And now we give it another clean, and hopefully that's all the chips done on that section. Next up is the M92 chip, so we know that this is also faulty, so we apply a little bit of flux around the edge. And then we also get the hot air out, so 440 on this with an airflow of about 70%. And then a minute or two later the solder will melt and we can take the chip off. So we've got some new chips, but they don't have any solder in the bottom of them, so we just need to add a little bit of flux and then just get the soldering iron and just run it around the edge, just so that we get a little bit of solder attached to all the pads. This will make it attach them a lot more easier and more reliably. And then a little bit of solder in the middle on the ground pad. So then I just position it back on, apply the heat, and then try and get it all lined up and squared. So you can see a bit of excess solder's come out, but we'll sort that out in a minute. So once it's gone solid, we'll use the tweezers, hold it down, then the more excess solder will come out. Let it cool again. And then make sure there's plenty of flux on there, and then just use your soldering iron and it should remove all the excess. So So I'm not quite happy with the positioning, so just apply the hot air again, just so I can nudge it over and make sure that it's in the right position. All the pins are lined up correctly on both sides. So as you can see, I've got a little bit of excess solder on the side where we joined two caps. So normally a bit of flux and a soldering iron will take the excess away. This one unfortunately is being a bit stubborn because of the size of the gap. So the best way I've found to do it is to apply your soldering iron and then just get your tweezers in between, and then this will make a little bit of a break, and then this will stop the solder from trying to join together, and it'll go either side, and that way we can remove all the excess, and now we haven't got to join, and then we clean it up once again. So who spotted the obvious mistake? So for whatever reason, I put the M92 chip on the wrong way. The dot should be, when we're looking at it from this orientation, the dot should be in the top left hand corner. So I've had to reapply the heat. We'll take the chip back off, spin it round and put it back in the right position. So there it is, the dot at the top, getting right central again. A little bit nudging round to make sure it's okay. Hold it down if we need to, and then hopefully we've done it correct this time. Same again, use soldering iron to remove any of the excess. And then we'll give it another clean up after that. So we're all done, so what we'll do is we'll plug a battery in. We'll plug the charger in so we get a charge straight away, which is always good. Normally turning on and off means it's trying to boot. And then we'll flip it over, make sure that it's working on both sides, which it is. So I was a little concerned at first because the amperage seemed a bit low, so that's why I got my thermal camera out. But I think it's a bit low because the battery is so low. It's not on a full charge, but the board itself seems to be okay, no real major hotspots. So I'll pop the motherboard back into its housing with its battery, and then I plug it in, we turn it on. And then we get a battery symbol in the corner, which is always good. So we need to force charge it. So the best way to do this is hold the power button down for 30 seconds until it completely turns off and nothing's on the screen, and this will force the battery to charge. So I'll come back to it a couple of hours later. So I've charged the battery. We press the power button, and there's the Nintendo logo. So we'll see whether it's going to fully start. There's the Switch logo. And then there's the home screen. And there we go, fixed another Nintendo Switch. So all seems to be working okay. Touchscreen works fine. Check the firmware, it's on a very low firmware, so this might not have been used for possibly a good couple of years. And then we just plug the charger back in to make sure that it's charging. So we're getting a charge on that side. And then we'll flip it around. And then put the charger back in the other side. And then we're getting a charge on both sides. So I was expecting just possibly a faulty M92 chip. What happened was it was a lot more of a bot job, so a lot more chips needed replacing, but thankfully they've all been replaced, and now we've got a fully working Nintendo Switch. So thanks very much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe.